after next.
All right, welcome to the Draft Stack. It's Kyle. I got Jacob here. I got Jordan here. What's going on, guys?
Not
What's up,
much.
what's up? It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, for sure. We said we would be back. We're back. Got some guys we want to cover as returners, guys who I think are going to fly up boards over the next year during this draft cycle. I'm intrigued to see what happens. Let's get started. We're Isaiah Evans. I'll start by just saying the shooting is real.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that feeling from Jordan here. the shooting for him is real.
Do you want me to do the stats?
Please.
So, 6'7" wing from Duke. I have him 47 overall on my board. I think I'm going to move him up just as I'm, throughout the year. I think that I don't see him dropping lower. I only see him going higher. So in 31 games last year, 7.5 points, 1.2 rebounds, which it felt like he did more than that. So I was a little surprised by that number. 0.6 assists, 0.5 turnovers, 0.2 steals, and 0.1 blocks. But it was on 44, 43, 81 shooting. And it was 136 threes and 32 free throws. So he does not get to the line very much. But man, the dude can hit threes. And so in Cerebro, if you do his 115 games that they have, he is 38% on 525 threes. So the dude can shoot. Like, there's just no way around it.
I mean, and that's in, Jacob, that's in short sample size. Like, he didn't play a major role from the perspective of minutes. What's the stats on the minutes, Jordan?
I did not write that down. So,
I got it. He played a total of 495 minutes or 13.8 minutes per game. He only started 3 games last season, not surprising because of Duke's depth.
Yeah.
But when he came in, he was lights out. He had a couple big performances this year.
And I do think
I also think that he struggled because he was just a shooter, really. And when you have Proctor did the shooting, but then also brought other stuff. And so that made it a little harder. Caden Boozer is going to love him, some Isaiah Evans, this year. Like, that connection is going to just be an easy assist for Caden over and over again.
I can see him running up. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, he's going to make everybody better, not just Caden. I think he's going to make Cameron better as a post hub passer, the guy or in the top D. This is a guy that in the NBA will project as rotation. I think he'll be rotation caliber just because of how like naturally athletic and lean he is and his shooting. Also, he can just like thrive in most shooting oriented systems, and that's 95% of teams nowadays. So it's really easy to see projection.
And the shot prep to me is one of the things I have down here in my notes is high release. He has a high release on his jumper, which, I mean, any team's going to want a shooter. So I'm intrigued to see how Duke uses him with more minutes. And also, I think we may see him expand a little bit more playmaking because that's something that he didn't really have an opportunity to do. And I think that 7.5 points, if I'm correct about the 7.5, that goes to 14 maybe, which is a decent
huge jump.
But I think that's probably what's the next step. There is an up in scoring because that's what they're going to use him for. I also wonder
a rebounder too, just from actually playing more, and then I think he's going to play more 3 than 2 next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will probably up his rebounding. What's your comp for him? Because this is where I've gone back and forth. Because body wise, he's kind of like a Torian Prince, like body wise. But I don't think he's as good of a defender as young Torian Prince is. Kind of like modern day Prince.
Prince was definitely more physical also.
Yes.
Agreed.
So it's very difficult because he's not unathletic. He's not like a bad defender, but he's just he doesn't stand out as a defender. But the shooting with it being that elite, but also kind of the way he does his shooting. It's just like it's a little different to me because it's mainly spot up. He's not as much movement shooting. He does some movement shooting, but it's not as much.
Maybe some Buddy Hield.
Yeah,
See,
Hield to me, Hield handled the ball more. That's what is the difference with me. It still handles the ball more. So it's hard to go with but every team needs shooting. So to me, I'm surprised he didn't stay in the draft last year. I am definitely would be surprised if he's not drafted this year because just like shooting is so important.
But then I think what my question is, it's everything else. That's why he didn't stay in the draft this year. He hasn't shown he hasn't shown I don't think he's a functional ball handler yet. His decision making, he made a lot of bad decisions, a lot of bad passes last year. His turnover rate
almost the exact same amount of turnovers as I didn't have the totals here, but it was like super close to basically one turnover for every assist.
It was a 10% turnover rate, which is disgusting, especially for the amount he played. Obviously, a low assist rate. So it's kind of like, okay, outside of being a shooter, what's his role going to be? He's not going to be a secondary playmaker. He's not going to be like an aggressive point of attack or just a long guy that can switch just yet because he is lean. So that's really just like figuring out how he can fit in other ways on the court and how he can affect in just a variety of ways.
And I'm kind
he
of
played his role really well, but he needs to do more.
Right, and I think that's that's perfect because that's another thing here on my note is role concerns after having limited minutes the previous season is like how much more can he do with larger sample size is the question. Can he be as effective with game planning for him? Because that's exactly what comes next if he can continue to be effective. So between that and then if that's the case, we've talked about his lack of handling the ball. If he does have the ball, can he play make for others? Can he use his gravity to get other guys opportunities at the basket? I'm intrigued to see if that's the case. I don't know that it will be because he does have a point guard on the roster, so that playmaking may be very small in sample size. But
that being said, Caden, excellent off-ball cutter. Cameron, excellent off-ball mover. Dame Sar, excellent off-ball mover. So if he can learn to do that, this is the team to learn to do that. Like they will reward him for learning to do that.
Agreed. That's where his role and him moving up draft boards that's where it's gonna happen. Is if he can add some of these other elements to his game outside of just being a specialist from three. And mid-range too, because I don't think he's limited to just the three spot, but also to from the mid-range spot. So,
do you have him on your? Do you guys have your boards done at all, like a board yet?
I have guys on a board. I don't have guys finished in position on a board because.
So I was just wondering if I'm like lower or higher than you guys. That was
I personally don't like making boards before like the college season begins. Like I like watching a couple months of it just to get a really good feel of it. Gotcha. But that's just my personal philosophy. But based on what I saw last year and kind of just projecting where I think he would go, where I would have him, I'd probably have him early 30s, late 20s at this point. There was a lot of good returners right now, but I'm pretty confident in his ability this year to probably scale up his role because in reality, he is the X factor for his Duke team. I do think Shire is going to find very creative ways to get Evans into a rhythm, whether it's through like pin down screens or these flare screens. So I'm very interested to see how he's inserted in this offense and if Shire's trusting him to be more of a secondary playmaker. But if
I do think it's
skyrocket.
Interesting. Like Shire does seem to do good with these wings as far as like it seems like if you're a big going to Duke, your role gets super limited to maybe what you would play in the NBA, but you're also not only is your role limited, like your minutes are limited because it's college. And so, like, it seems like most of the bigs do better in the NBA than they do for Duke. But wings, he really seems to bring about.
And I think one of the things before we transition, one of the things that I was wondering, Jacob, while you were talking, is if they're going to use him as the one who sets the screen to get open. as a possibility to create more openings for himself and for others. Because of if they're going to run him off screens, or if they're going to set screens kind of paint down, it makes me wonder kind of what they're going to use him as. Because for instance, Steph screens, like just as an instance here for shooters, he screens and then he gets open because he set the screen.
And so does Buddy Hield. So does all these other shooters that we've talked about. They learn to move a little bit more off ball than he does. He was a spot up guy as Bud, which I'm not saying he didn't move off ball at all, but it's just like that was his main bread and butter. And I think he's going to need to do a little bit more movement. Now,
interestingly enough, from one guy who didn't really have the ball in his hands to somebody who had the ball in his hands substantially more, Milos Uzan.
I would love to cover Uzan. Uzan was one of my biggest sleepers. You know what? Earlier this year we did our sleepers pod, and I originally had Uzan as my first guy, but then
he dropped out like right before the pod started.
Really set was it was like minutes before the pod started.
It was insane.
So that honestly kind of ruined my day, but I mean, I guess I get to talk about him right now.
Do you want me to read off the stats first? And
read
then
off. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're a stat guy.
So 23-year-old, 6'4" guard, Houston. 34 games, 11.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 1.8 turnovers, 0.3 steals, which I thought it would be higher than that, just having watched him play. I don't think he recorded a block last year. 46, 43, basically, 76 shooting splits on 122 threes. So the dude can flat out shoot. And 54 free throws, which is also kind of low for his style of play. I kind of thought he would have higher free throws. So let you go first, Jacob.
Yeah. The thing that stands out with me right away from Uzan is just I think he has such a high floor just because of his overall ability to pace the game, his high feel, and his shooting. And also he's a very high functioning defender, especially as a point of attack guy. I think he really knows how to use his body and use his legs, whether that's getting around screens or on the offensive end when he's trying to create angles, which especially benefits him in the pick and roll because he was really underrated as a pick and roll handler last year. Like Sampson had him as a main pick and roll ball handler a lot of the time. He's aggressive when he was getting to the rim. He shot well when he was at the rim. He just is a guy. He makes a lot of the right decisions a lot of the times. He gets to the right spots and he plays within the system and knows his role. So I think he's going to be an easy guy to project. He's going to be. I'm probably going to have him as a first round prospect next year. I think, and with him probably being the main ball handler next year, next to Sharp, I think his usage is going to skyrocket, and he's going to be a darling for a lot of people. I could see a lot of people drawing the Nembhard comparisons.
That's what I have written down. I currently, I guess it doesn't really matter where I have him because I'm in the process of like moving him up. So I think I'm going to have him in the late first before the season starts. And Nembhard is like he moves like a Nembhard brother, like he's the third brother. Like he does all the same little tricks and stuff they do. Like so that's actually what I have. You know, he's really good at like getting to the spots in the mid range like they are, and doing those like they're not flashy crossovers, but just enough to get the guy to be like, oh okay, hang on, wait, where am I at? Kind of thing. So for his cerebro shooting, it's like slightly concerning that that was his best season shooting. But he's not necessarily, he's like an average shooter who suddenly became good. And to me, if you're an average shooter who becomes good, that's a whole lot less of a red flag than a bad shooter who suddenly becomes good.
One of the stats I do have, which is I think is a green flag for him as a shooting prospect because of what the role he'll probably play in the NBA, is he was in the 95th percentile in catch and shoot last season.
Yeah, and he's also incredible. Like last year was a down free throw shooting year for him too. So he's normally in like the low 80s, and he was in the mid 70s. So I also have the catch and shoot thing is like a big thing in my notes where to me, there's a lot that he does that's really likable on ball, and then he can also play off ball. Like that to me is just a huge value of you. If you need him to be the point guard, he's the point guard.
Yes.
If you need him to be the off guard, he's the off guard. But it's not that he's not good enough to be a point guard. And so he's a combo guard. He's a true combo guard because he has both skill sets. So I really like him.
I also think adding 10 pounds would be great.
Yeah,
I don't know what his college ready body will be like. I have him here at 190. If he adds 10 pounds, that ups the defense. That ups him being able to create space with his body, as you mentioned, Jacob. You use his body well. I also think that you talked about the low turnover creativity and his ability to navigate screens. I think all of those things get even more proficient. Obviously, the age thing is going to kind of throw quite a few people off. They're going to have him kind of ranked pretty low in some cases. In my opinion, you guys know this, and I've stated it before, I am less of a age lowers the ceiling if the player themselves continues to improve. So to me, he's really cerebral. He's a smart player. His defense is where he hangs his hat. He's a good team defender as well. I think to me,
I'm really confused by that 0.3 steals number because, I really thought he had a lot more steals than that.
Right, he does create turnovers.
Yes, so he apparently might not be the one, picking up. I'm not sure, where, he's the one who created the turnover, but maybe somebody else is getting the steal in the stat sheet.
Got it.
But because he's definitely a better defender disruptor than that makes it look like.
Any team can use a connective guard. And I think that's going to be his role. Y'all could have a different perspective on what his role could be, but I think that's one of his aspects could be a connective guard, somebody who you don't need to place all of the pressure. Kind of a release valve. If he's going to play point guard, he's a release valve point guard. You don't need him to carry all of the minutes with the ball, but due to and I'm intrigued to see what his role looks like even further because of last season and seeing how much better he is. I'm probably sure he's working on his game or has been working on his game. So I'm intrigued to see what he looks like this upcoming season for Houston.
My big thing with him and his improvement is he's got to figure out how to use his overall just strength and body a little bit more to create. Whether it's kind of using his shoulder to create a little bit more separation and get open in the mid range for some floaters or some creative finishes. He's kind of predictable, I think, when attacking the lane. He's not going to do anything super fancy. He's not going to make a flashy pass. So just I think overall, it's buffing his physicality will kind of make him a more harder to guess type of guy, harder to guess what he's going to do. So
now, go ahead, Jordan.
So I think it's kind of interesting to compare him to the next guy that we're going to talk about.
I was going there.
Yeah. So
Miles Bird. I was a big fan of his coming into the draft.
Can I do the breakdown on him? Because
please.
Bird is 22-year-old, 6'5" wing, but he could play power forward in the league. He could play shooting guard in the league. You could tell me either one. He can be all the way through that. In 30 games, he averaged 12 points, 4.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 2.1 steals, 1.1 blocks on 38, 30, 83 shooting, on 6 3-point attempts a game, and on 3 free throws a game. Here's the thing, dude, stop shooting. You're bad at it. Just don't shoot as much. It fixes all of the offensive problems. It's he's out there like Charles Barkley, just shooting it. And it's just dude, you're missing it. You don't have to shoot. You do all the other stuff better. And so if he could drop his 3-point shooting to 2 a game instead of 6 a game, I think he's suddenly a much more interesting player. And I don't think I've ever said that before where I'm telling a player to shoot less. And I think he's a little undersized for a power forward, but I think that's probably where he's going to end up landing in the NBA. I think he's a really good defender. My comp for him is kind of like a Jay Crowder-ish guy. Like I don't know. I'm just like I like him.
What was that turnover? Where were the turnovers?
Did I not put the turnovers on here? I thought I did. I
got it. 1.6 a game last year.
Okay, so that's low, right?
Yeah.
I do think his handle could be tighter.
Mhm.
However, he doesn't turn the ball over often. Now, I don't know if that has more to do with the fact that he doesn't have the ball in his hands all of the time, or it's one of those things where he's just good at taking care of the ball. Now, I did say his handle could be better, but maybe he's just decent at taking care of the ball. There are guys who are not great ball handlers, but great at taking care of the ball. There is some nuance there.
I actually think a lot of his turnovers came from just like stupid passes rather than over dribbling or trying to do something.
Yeah, from the tape, I think I agree with that. I also think that, like, to me, I'm not sure what it is about his 3-point shooting, because like he seems to be fine in the mid range, and his free throw shooting's like really good. So I'm not sure what it is about the 3-point shooting, but I think he also takes too many contested threes, in my opinion. It's not just that he's taking too many threes. If he could cut out the contested ones, I think it would change the whole perception of his game, to be completely honest. I really think just like the decision making, which also goes back to the passes too. Like his turnovers were mainly bad passes, were bad decisions more than they were him having a wonky handle or just not being able to do what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my whole thing with him was I haven't really been high on him like you have, Jordan. I feel like we briefly touched upon him in one of the pods, maybe one of the sleeper pods. My other thing is I think I just don't think he's scalable in the NBA as a shooter, and two, as just overall decision maker. Like I don't really see him. I see him struggling to get minutes because of that. I mean, when he played against better competition, all his percentages and averages just went down.
I thought of a better comp actually than Jay Crowder, more of a Torrey Craig kind of guy. Like because he's not quite as big as Crowder.
Right, and I can see him doing the connective stuff that Torrey Craig did, whether that is finishing off cuts or just making like tough plays and rebounding.
Yeah, but it's not the and even he's a decent playmaker for others. Like he's a good passer for that position. It's just the decision making is where it's like, man, if you could just like clean that up just a little bit, man, you'd be awesome.
Is he 6'5" or 6'7"?
I have 6'5".
Because I've seen some boards that say 6'7".
I think he's 6'5". Because I thought he measured. Well,
he did measure at the combine. So, Bar Torvik has him at 6'7", but I don't know how right.
That's what I was saying. I'm not sure.
Because Bar Torvik also has a couple of these guys out of position.
So I'm not sure. I was wondering about that. That was kind of
because if he's 6'7", that does make it a little bit more interesting for the being a power forward. My internet is not gonna load for some reason.
Hold on.
I do think one of the things is he is pretty athletic. He has the ability. Now he's not the most explosive guy in the world, but he has shown flashes to be.
Well, okay. I have the measurement. It's 6'4" and 75 inches.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he actually measured.
So where did people get 6'7" from?
I guess he's 6'6" in shoes. To be honest, we're talking about he's 6'6" in shoes, 6'7" in shoes.
Okay. I can go with that because I saw some boards that had him at 6'7", and I was like, well, he looks, and now maybe because of his frame, he looks much more lanky than he actually is. So that might have something to do with it.
He also wears long sleeves, so
that'll also do it. So to me, I think he's a good player. I'm not sure what his role will be exactly, but I think one of the things that it's weird because I think the shooting mechanics aren't terrible.
No, they look good. It's a really quick release.
You would think the shooting percentage would be much better, just off of fluidity. It really isn't at the moment, so I guess we'll see.
Again, I think that goes back to decision making. I think he takes way too many contested threes. I don't have the actual data for that. but it does seem like to me like there were several times where it's just like, why are you shooting that? Why? Like,
I agree with that.
You
Definitely
didn't need to do that, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
So this is a little bit off topic, but have you guys gotten to see what's his name, Magoon? Have you watched him yet on San Diego State? I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Just barely. Gawaith. Is that?
Yeah,
No,
I think. I was gonna ask.
I need to look at it again.
If you guys like him or Bird as a prospect better, because they're obviously, I think, two different levels.
Well, I mean, Magoon to me is like an actual power forward. Like he's 7 foot. Like
he's raw.
Yeah. It's kind of like I like the measurements. I have Magoon at 11 right now, and I have Bird 27 right now. But that's some of that. We're gonna have to see because Magoon could easily drop for me.
He has all the tools. To your point, he has all the tools. All the tools are there. If he can put some things together, he changes what board. Again, to me, the board is never going to look like what people think. Now, the top three, we talked about this before. Top three could shuffle. Those guys are not dropping out of the top three.
I want to put this on video right now. That AJ Demancia jump, that vertical, was absolutely one of the craziest things I've ever seen. That does not happen. That's, as far as I know, that is the only, like, one of two people that have documented, like, on video, touch the top of the backboard. As far as I know, there's only two people that have done it on video. Like, there's a bunch of people who have said that they could touch the top of the backboard. That's only the second one on video. That's insane.
And I'll say this on video. He's not allowed to end up on some team. You know what I'm trying to say here, Jordan. He is not allowed to end up on a team that's already got it together and just ask him as a piece.
The Boston Celtics are calling.
I'm just saying the Mavs, 180 injury, and all of a sudden we get,
like, so we'll talk about those guys a different time, but the athleticism is one of the biggest things from this class that I think will be touted the most. Is a lot of athleticism.
Cool.
A lot of these guys process really, really fast. They see the game really, really smoothly. And that could be one of the biggest calling cards for them is how much they process.
Speaking of athleticism, do you want to move on to Flory?
Oh, man.
This is one of the funnest bit here. Yeah, this guy is so much fun. I love watching him.
Stats first. Stats first.
Yeah.
We'll go with stats first.
20-year-old, 6'8" big from Kansas. He's also from the Congo. So he did not play very many games. So, or very many minutes. But so I'm going to read his per 40 numbers instead of his regular numbers. 14.4 points, 13.1 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 1.4 steal, and 3.9 blocks per 40. The dude even, 70% from the field. Now, the problem is 53% from the free throw line, and he did not shoot a single three all year. So you can riff but like, these are my points. Amazing rim protector. Basically, he's Jason Kidd's dream center. Is what, like, this is someone who is like designed in a lab to be absolute. He's a nasty rebounder. However, I have the jump shot might be a war crime. So that's just where we're at. So
I think one of the notes I have here is refined footwork, and I'm nitpicking refined footwork. I do think if he's able to refine the footwork, he'll be able to fix the balance issues. And if he's able to fix the balance issues, he's a completely different prospect. So, one, he's 225. That's what I have the weight down here in my notes.
He looks bigger than that.
Yeah, and that's he's solid. He's a very strong frame. And so, to me, between that, finishes lobs, I do think he needs to work on both hand finishing. I'm nitpicking. Again, there's lots to laud about him. He is still technically, in my opinion, a project per se. He has a lot to add as much as he has a lot to offer. The free throw shooting bothers me because of how physical he is. He should be better at free throw shooting. But typically with guys with his physicals and the tools, typically struggle from the free throw line, which is kind of an unfortunate thing to put together.
Can I throw out a name?
Please.
Thomas Robinson. Like,
which
I was a huge Thomas. I still part of me still doesn't understand why he failed in the league. But just which I guess his game was just a better fit in Europe, and he was making so much more money in Europe is really what happened. But to me, I think as we're moving back to like double big lineups, I think that there's a pretty big chance that he could make a pretty significant impact on a team. I also kind of wonder if he's maybe taller than 6'8", just based off of like what he can do on the floor. I wonder if we're going to be kind of surprised when he gets measured.
I thought he was 6'10" by looking at him, to be truthful.
I think he's always been shorter than on the shorter side of centers. Like I always thought 6'7", 6'8" for him.
Oh, really?
Also, he just looks so imposing just because of how strong he is. Like that dude.
Which I mean, Ben Wallace made it work, so he's that same build.
Now here's the funny thing: if there was an understudy for him, Ben Wallace could be it. Now, granted, would I love for him to add more?
Let's maybe not put that much pressure on one kid, though.
No,
like Ben Wallace is maybe the best second best defender of all time.
Defensive presence.
Chuck Hayes. There we go. Chuck Hayes made it work. Same body type.
Got you. That works too. You talked about the rebounding. He dives for balls.
Hustles.
I think he anticipates. He's just really, really. You're kind of create an additional bunch of opportunities. I do think some of his in the minutes he did play. I think he could focus a little bit better after mistakes. That's what I have in notes.
Yeah.
He's very young. You could tell in this game. You could tell how unpolished and undisciplined he is. I think
which leads to I don't have the amount of fouls he had, but
he had a fouling problem. He 100% had a fouling problem.
That's part of why his minutes were so low. Is the fouls, not
76 personal fouls.
I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
I mean, I wonder how much it was per game. It was
2.5,
2.2 per game.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Feels like
it is.
Yeah.
He has so much upside. I hope he's able to put it together, especially with who he's playing with. If he's able to put it together, that makes him very formidable.
So, I feel like I'll be watching him, then I'll be like, oh, he just made a really nice pass in the short roll or a nice quick touch pass. And the next play on offense, he's trying to make a really dumb skip pass. His game is just so inconsistent and so streaky for me. It's obviously so easy to love him because he is basically a Hulk on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you're like, okay, is this guy actually processing the game to a point where he could be a consistent lob threat and above the rim anchor? I'm not sure. I was really high on him at one point last year.
He's a little.
I am at 16 at one point this year.
He's a little bit like Beef Stewart. Ooh.
I think
16. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I think
there's a little delay. I
am at 16 last year. So, but I think he'd be early second, mid second about. I just don't love the way Jordan's gone. I just don't love the way he overall just processes the game. I think he still has to kind of get a natural rhythm to himself when he plays, or if he doesn't, then he's kind of useless, kind of just running and dunking out there.
Right. And so to me, the double big works if one guy is a spacer. Clearly at this stage,
he would not be the spacer.
So we'll see if he's able to. If he even adds a mid-range game, I will be content
seriously
taking that. And I won't be mad about the threes because if you can make we just had an MVP work from the mid-range all the way to a championship. So I'm not saying they're in the caliber here. So please don't get my comments twisted. I'm just saying that if he's able to add a mid-range game, that would be good for his development and also add to his skill set, which he already hustles. He already does a whole lot of things. He's going to be a nightmare if he's able to put it together just a little bit on the offensive side.
And even if it's not a mid-range, if he can do a floater game,
just a little touch,
like that,
we're talking touch,
just a little bit.
Before we,
like Daniel Gafford is an undersized center, but he makes it work with that little flip shot. Go ahead.
Before we go to our next guy, I think we do have to talk about how much he's really going to benefit from playing with a guy like Darren Peterson. We've talked about Darren Peterson. We all love the way he scores, and I think we all came to agreement that how well of a playmaker and initiator he is going to determine whether he's the one guy in this draft or the three guy in this draft. So, and Floor is going to play a really, really big role in that, especially as he's a guy that's really reliant on others to make for him.
I also think Rosario could also affect him a little bit too, because I think Rosario is a pretty good shooter from what I've seen.
Very good shooter.
So I think that could help with the spacing too.
And there's the spacing. That's it has to happen that way. So from no shooting to shooting,
yes.
Christian Anderson. I think
this is your guy.
Man, and the funny thing is, I have notes for him, and I'm not going to look at them not one bit to describe his game. The shooting is unbelievable. I think he comes off of curls. He comes off of actions really quickly. Once he gets that ball up, it's gone. And it for the most part, he can be a bit effective. Obviously, his role was a little bit different at Tech with other guys ahead of him. The stats here say I'm taking your steez here a little bit.
Go for it.
Career stats so far: 42.9 field goal percentage, 38% from three, 80% free throw shooting. He averaged 10 points per game, almost 11, 1.2 steals, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He only averaged 1 turnover. Again, I mean, obviously, someone's going to say 10 points. What's the big deal about it? Because of how he got them. It's because of how he got them. He got them by shooting the ball so well. And I think also he makes very quick decisions with the ball. He's not like dribble. No, he's like dribble, find the guy. Let me move without the ball. Like he's constantly moving without the ball. And for his age, I think his ability to process the game is extremely impressive. So
I'm going to throw out a name. Seth Curry.
I like that.
Not Steph, but Seth. Like I think he's going to be a bench combo guard who you wish could get more assists. And that's kind of like he's the rest of the offense except for creating for others is there. I do feel like I'm just a little confused why he doesn't get as much as he has the ball in his hands. I feel like there should be some more creating for others done for him. But again, we are kind of nitpicking a 20-year-old in a top. What did Texas Tech finish last year? What were they?
They won. Didn't they win the Big 12?
They got all the way to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a top 18, and he's 20. He was 19 on a top 18. And it was not supposed to be, this lottery pick or anything. So we are nitpicking a little bit when we're saying, like, wish he could do this more. Wish he could do this more. I thought he's, fine as a defender. I don't think he's, like, amazing as a defender.
No.
But I think he's fine. So I really, to me, I see long-term bench guard. I mean, Seth Curry was undrafted and has, like, forced his way into the league with that one shooting skill and then being just good enough at everything else.
Yeah.
So, he's just good enough at passing, just good enough at defending, just good enough at everything else. And I think that's probably what we're looking at for him. And I really think he could make a long career out of doing just enough of everything else.
And you can, for sure. Because, and that, to me, And I'll pass this to Peter. I think, again, that goes back to the processing, right? Like being able to kind of understand what your role is going to be, what that looks like, and then being able to be proficient in balanced in those areas gives you long career minutes. But
yeah, because like for instance, skill set wise, Jim Murphy, Seth Curry, they came in almost at the same time. Very, very similar skill sets. One of them made it, one of them didn't. Why? Because Seth bought into his role. Jimmer would rather have the ball in his hands all the time in China than buying into his role in the NBA.
I think last year, him being just like an off-ball bench guard was huge for his development, because we know it's being a 6'2". He's probably shorter than 6'2", to be honest. When I watched FIBA U19, I thought I don't know if he was 6 feet tall. I'm pretty concerned about that. That's my biggest concern, obviously, with him. He shows the balance and poise, and just being last year, just being a guy that came on the court that was trustworthy as a handler. He was constantly relocating, constantly going through these dribble handoffs. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he is as a main ball handler. He averaged 2.2 assists last game, so I'm really curious to see how much that goes up. I'm really interested to see when we're talking about the next guy, JT Toppin. I'm really interested to see how their games are together.
Yeah.
Because, if you can't get assists to Toppin like that, what are you doing? Because all you have to do is just, throw it kind of near the rim and he'll take care of it. But
also next year could be the only time in his basketball career, like professional basketball career, where he's actually making lead guard decisions. If he's in the NBA, he's not making lead guard decisions. He's just being the guy that's running around like a maniac, coming off these screens and shooting the ball.
Yeah.
And the question now is, if he's going to make those, how proficient he is with those on-ball decisions is kind of, I think to me, that'll determine how much of his role is scaled up or down based on where he goes. If he's able to make those decisions better, if the assists, I'm not asking for 10 assists a game, because I even think with the way defenses process these days, that's a lot to ask for from a guard. I mean, guards in the NBA are barely averaging 10 assists a game. But if he is able to average 5 this year, that to me is a substantial jump.
If he can prove he's a real point guard, then we don't have the issues of that, the three of us had with Jace Richardson, where it's just like, is he really a point guard? Is it worth it? As of right now, Jace Richardson was a better prospect than Christensen is for me, as of right now.
Right.
So, and I think all three of us were lower on Jace than consensus.
Yeah.
He's got to learn to be a point guard. And if he really does, then that's awesome. That it changes a whole lot.
Now, to kind of swing to his partner, I'm going to nitpick a little bit first, and then I'm going to swing back the other direction. I like what he does athletically. I don't think he always uses his athleticism properly. That bothers me so much, because there's so much athleticism there. I'm always expecting more polish, and he isn't polished. Footwork could be a little bit better. He did show some plays throughout the tourney where you're like, huh, that's a flash. And then he would come back down and do something. You're like, huh, that's not a flash. For me, I really hope he's able to kind of be more polished this upcoming season. I thought all the athleticism is there. I think the activity is there. Effort and energy level is there. I think he needs to add a little bit more muscle over time, and that'll be better. I think he is pretty proficient at cutting. Jordan, what are the stats? Because I'm kind of his game, but
18.2 points per game for a big man in the NCAA is pretty big, especially one who doesn't necessarily create his own shot very much. To be able to still average that many points is kind of crazy. 9.4 rebounds, 1.2 assists, 0.8 steals, 1.5 blocks. I think he's a very good rim protector, especially more of like a switching and rim protector guy. So 55, 33, 67 shooting. So like he didn't take a lot of threes, but he made enough that you do have to kind of like, you can't just leave him alone. So I think that he does just enough of everything on offense that you're going to let his athleticism shine through. Like he's going to get the minutes by doing just enough of the other things on offense that you're suddenly going to get those athletic plays, which then hype up your team and do all the other things. Oh, and then he's also an incredible defender. Like I really like him as a defender. I think that we throw out the can guard 1 through 5 a lot with people. I'm not saying he can guard 1 through 5. I do think maybe he can guard 2 through 5. I think that, he can't guard like the smallest guards, but I think he's a very switchable defender for someone his size. I think that he's an incredible weak side rim protector. And then also I feel like he's really good at blocking jump shots. So those are like, to me, I really like him. I think he's a great lob finisher with the name Toppin. And I think that's like a requirement for the last name that you have to be able to finish lobs. But so I really like him. My comp for him has been like Isaiah Jackson for the Pacers, like who he was supposed to be. So,
so Toppin's probably I would say the Wooden Award favorite, him or Braden Smith going into the season. Yeah. So we know the production is going to be there. And so it becomes a question, all right, is this a guy that's just dominating college basketball because he is so much physically more imposing than everyone else? Or is this just an NBA player who knows how to play, just dominate a game? So I think we're at the point where we know who he is as a player. We know he's going to be a guy that's catching lobs, protecting the rim. He's not going to really get to stretch the floor. My big thing for him to see this year is how the decisions he's going to make. I want to see him make quicker and faster and more efficient decisions. I want to see him make smart decisions on defense. I'd like to see him foul a little bit less. He averaged 2.3 per game. It was also a problem at New Mexico. He could have gone into the draft any of these 2 past years. He had an unbelievable combine when he was in that transfer portal and he left Mexico State. I was really surprised he didn't test the waters at all last year. Really surprised.
Because I had him as a right on the bubble of the first round. Like I'm very surprised that he didn't stay in. To me, I think he's pretty likely to be a first rounder this year, unless something drastically wild happens. His floor is pretty high for a player. Players of his type who can do what he can do on offense and then also bring that energy. Can do what he can do on defense, who also bring energy on offense. Just they don't show up often. So I think his floor is pretty high.
And I think one of the things I'll add is I was wondering, not so much comp, but to me now I've been moving more and more towards who they should probably understudy. And I was thinking of the fact that his scoring is substantially more than what Bam did at Kentucky. But I think if he looks at Bam's current game, there are things to pick and grab similar, like
can operate in the mid range, can operate from 3 a little bit, not a ton of 3, but does enough. Can operate in a lot of different ways. Isn't really a post up threat.
No.
So like they're very similar games.
Like if he can pick some of those things up, one of the things, and I'll add this, if he can add the push shot floater that Bam uses just to get over bigger defenders, kind of the agility and soft touch, to me that's the polish that I'm talking about. If he's able to do some of those things, his game, that 18 looks like 22. And I know that doesn't sound like a big jump, but to me, you're talking about 22 to 23 or 24 points if he can add touch around the rim. That's a little bit softer than dunking every time.
So let's talk about another really good college big who is a good offensive college big, but doesn't score anywhere near as much. So Condon for Florida is Australian guy, big man from Florida, 6'11", 37 games, 10.6 points. Now they're sharing the load a lot more in Florida. than they were in Texas Tech, but very similar offensive game.
Yeah.
To and he has to be has to be set up by other people, and yet you have with Toppin, he just gets it. He just gets those points that other bigs don't get. He demands the ball in a way that like other bigs don't get, and so that's why he's very intriguing from that prospect. So with Condon, also has 7.5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 0.9 steals, and 1.3 blocks, 49, 33, 60 shooting on 1.6 threes a game. And I think he's a really fun passer. I think he's a very good rim protector. And I also think, can he shoot? There's one play stands out to me for where I got his comp to me is he was standing. I'm not sure. I can't remember what game it was from, but he was standing kind of at the nail and he took the ball. He was palming the ball and he threw a baseball pass to a cutter from that. And I was just like, that's Steven Adams. Like, and it's like, I've not been able to get that comp out of my head ever since then of him, like just the perfect dart from I was just like, oh, that's a Steven Adams play right there. And then he does all the other things. Steven Adams was supposed to be, a stretch big and then cut that out of his game when he got into the league and just focused on the other stuff. But I really like Condon. I think especially, as we're going to these, we've said it before, we'll say it again. As we're going to two big lineups, he's a big that can thrive in a two big lineup. Like,
and he already plays in a two big lineup with.
That's true. But in the NBA, where one of those bigs can really shoot, oh boy, he's gonna have some fun.
I think a lot of executives really liked him last year. I'm
really kind of surprised he didn't stay in the draft.
I thought he was a lock to go in the late first round bit, just because he was young for a junior last year. I think he was a junior last year.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he's still 20, raw.
He's 21.
Yeah, but he's
21.
I think he was. When's his birthday? I feel like he was young last year.
July. He actually just turned 21.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like he's going to be a 21-year-old graduating senior. Like that's pretty. That's pretty.
Yes, young. Yeah. I think he moves very fluidly. I really like the way he moves. I like the way he uses his feet. I think it's evident when he's on the post and he's trying to create space for passes. And as a screener, I'm a big fan of his screen setting and it's just like touch passes and in the short roll. He also, I think as a face-up guy, is really underrated. He's shown a lot of flashes and that's in triple threat and as a not as a pick and pop type of guy, but kind of like in the elbow area, like knocking down that soft touch shot. So yeah, I just think he's got to stretch the floor a little more. He's definitely a willing shooter. I mean, shoot 32% for his position isn't terrible.
No,
it's not terrible. It could be worse. The free throw shooting is what's concerning to me.
Yeah, and I think he's
a great screen setter. I don't know if we mentioned that, but he's a very good screen setter.
Yeah, Jacob. I think one of the things for me is this is nitpicking. I don't want to be the negative guy. He's nitpicking here.
We have to.
He doesn't have an elite skill.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not mad at a guy who doesn't have an elite skill if he can be relatively decent in the other areas. But teams tend to draft for a guy who has one to maybe two elite skills they can kind of craft their game out of.
This is not a skill that people get drafted for. But at least from the tape that I watched, I feel like he also, like Steven Adams, is an elite box out guy. But that's not a skill that people draft.
Which is interesting. That's a different pod conversation to have. Not sure why you wouldn't draft a guy who can box out, who's going to create opportunities
for your guard to get the ball to immediately initiate offense.
So it's really weird that he's really good at boxing out, but a lot of other physicality, he kind of struggles with it.
Yeah, it's very that's why it stood out to me so much. Is like because he's not as super physical any other time, and then like when it comes to box out, he's like Like
Yeah,
it's very weird.
That really showed in the tournament. I mean, he there's a lot. He had like a what was it like a 4 or 5 game stretch where he like really struggled. Like his best game was I think that first game. Like,
Yeah.
I remember. If not, I feel like I remember him like just hitting a bunch of threes. Not a bunch of threes, but hitting a good amount. But he was definitely he had a good national championship though. Also,
Now, I don't want to leave Condon too soon, but there's a glaring question mark in the guy he's going to be playing with, and it sucks because I think we all said it when it happened. When he did get injured, we were like, "Dang it! What was this going to look like for him? How was he going to put it together?" I thought he was shooting up boards, just like due to the play he was on, and if you consider the roster at the time, you would say, well.
Also, as a Razorbacks fan, you kind of have to wonder if he wasn't injured, and I get that he came back from the injury, but like, if he wasn't injured, would we have had to rely on DJ as much? Because you lived by the DJ, you died by the DJ in the tournament.
And that is Boogie Fland. I thought before injury, a lot of teams were interested. I thought there was a lot of noise around him. That was like,
Mavs fans were interested in Boogie Fland.
I mean, just takes care of the ball, smart guard, plays with good pace, does play both sides of the ball. I think that, and I'm leaning more into the questions because I think that's where we're at with him right now. We saw flashes of what he was able to do. We didn't get to see.
Do we want to do the stats before we keep going? Yeah. So 21 games, 13.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 1.5 steals. I don't think he recorded a single block all year. 38, 34, 83 shooting on 5 threes a game. So I'm the Arkansas fan, so I'll let you guys go first, and then I'll fill in.
What were your thoughts, Jacob? Because I know what I felt, but
I wasn't really high on Boogie Fland most of the season last year. I struggled to find a way. I struggled projecting what his NBA role was going to be. Obviously, highly skilled ball handler. I thought he did a great job of creating space effectively. Thought he played with a good pace, operated well in the pick and roll. You know, he obviously has that skill, but at the same time, I don't know if he has the size. I don't know if he has the frame, and I think that's really, really going to hurt him defensively. And it's not like he's an aggressive point of attack defender and an annoying defender. He isn't. He's a guy that has a lot of lapses on that side of the ball. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard for small guards to carve out roles in the NBA. So he's going to have to be a really damn good passer, ball handler, and shooter to get rotation minutes.
And crazy enough, he just turned 19. So there is upside for him to kind of correct some of these aspects. I don't want to do this, but I think a lot of people slept on this aspect, and even into the finals. If he's able to do the small things and intangible things that a McConnell does, then he has a long-term role in the league. Because to me, he's more athletic than
He's
McConnell.
bigger than McConnell too,
right? And so what I'm saying is, if he's able to put the intangibles together more, if he's able to kind of figure out how much effort he wants to put on defense and kind of maintain a consistency on that level, and then also preparing his body for a long-term run. Now, granted, injury, I'm not blaming him for his injuries here. I'm just talking about like timing of the injury and kind of what kind of put like he came back, but what was he wasn't going to play. Like no one's going to risk that, especially with you having another season that you can put forth effort to. So if he's able to kind of carve out some of those small things, because I think that's what a guard that
he was a shell of himself when he came back.
Right. If he's able to do a lot of small things great, to me, that's what he'll get drafted and what he'll move up on boards for. Now, I don't know where some people haven't projected yet. this previous draft cycle, there were quite a few people who had him in the top 20 at one point, just because of what he looked like. If he's able to add what he looked like, be better on defense, I think there's noise to be made there. Now, granted, first round is loaded, so we've got so much like to cover over this next year. But to me, if he's able to do a lot of the things he did do well, and then add some of the things he didn't do so well, and you could say that for a lot of guys, but I really think there were some areas that he could just place them in. You see him kind of the game slow down even further. Again, he's young. There's a lot of he's gonna put a cap on his ceiling. Is my point. If he's gonna be really really good, if he's gonna be the type of point guard you want, we're gonna have to see some extreme proficiency in a lot of different skill sets. I think all the talent is there.
Yeah. So
before you go, I just want to say one thing. I do think this is a guy that's going to benefit greatly from being in Todd Golden's system, because if he is the Walter Clayton replacement, both guys that are good off ball and can really shoot the ball. That's what his role is going to be. So it's just going to be see if he can live up to those expectations.
And he's a microwave. I mean, he does have the ability to score in bunches. That's what I have
as a guard going from Calipari to Golden has to be like Calipari holds his guards back so much on purpose. And you can't say that it hasn't worked in the past, but he's definitely going to have more freedom under Golden.
I want him to compete more on defense. I'm a defense first guy. I want him to be focused, off ball, less lapses, as Jacob pointed out, and rotate faster. The defense to me is what's going to change his trajectory. The offense, I think it will be what it is. I think he'll figure that out. The defense is, I think, the biggest question mark. And if he can do that for a long period of time over the stretch of the season, we're talking about a top. We're still talking about a first round pick, because he was at the end of he was at 30 before injury. I think he was working his way up to maybe 25, 26. That's 5 spots up, 4 to 5 spots up. So a lot. I'm interested to see what Florida does as their point guard, and kind of how he'll create chemistry. And he's a different guard than the name just slipped me. I'm so sorry. He's a different guard than
Clayton.
Xavier.
Clayton, yeah. Sorry about that. I had a brain fart there. He's a different guard than Clayton, and so there's a little bit of a difference in approach. He's not a better shooter than Clayton, so there's a difference in role and approach. I do think he drives a little bit more
and better
than Clayton does, so there may be a little bit of a shift on what they look like on offense. But I'm intrigued to see. So thanks for the 42 of you who hung out with us.
Whoa. Do I not get a go on Boogie? Because I've got stuff. So to me, Boogie was clearly a first rounder last year. Like, I had him, I think 21 before he pulled out. I think he's clearly a first round pick. I get what you guys are saying about the defensive inconsistency. That was definitely there. However, his flashes of playing that point of attack defense were awesome. He had games where he had like 6 or 7 steals, where the other team could not do anything with him. He was so good at coming up with big moments, and that's the thing with Boogie, is like the moments were better than the stats. So his overall production and stuff, it looks okay. Like, he had some moments where he really impacted games. I think that you talked about how he's a great separator. I love the way he can separate. I think that sometimes he would get kind of so excited about breaking somebody's ankles that then he'd miss the shot because he was just like, did I just do that? Kind of thing. And so I think that the shooting is going to come. I think that he does a whole lot of really good things. And I believe that Boogie can run an offense, and it can actually run an offense. And I do think that he can play off ball, but I think he can really run an offense. And so my comp for him since the beginning of last year has been Jason Terry. I think that he can run your offense, or if you have a high scorer, he can work off that high scorer. I also think he can legitimately run pick and roll, which is super important for guards coming out of college who just cannot run pick and roll. So to me, I see Boogie's floor as higher than a lot of other guys who might have, maybe that one thing that they can do, because he's got two things that he can legitimately do. I do think that the defense is going to look more consistent in the NBA. And hopefully this next year at Florida too. I think it will look more consistent. And then I also think that the shooting will get more consistent, but he really can run a pick and roll. And that's something that guys his age, guys coming in at 18, don't know how to run a pick and roll. And he really can. So I just think there's a real role for him in the NBA.
And I'll throw out there, I'm intrigued to see what he looks like against tougher competition.
Yeah.
Because that's really the next step here, especially with you playing at Florida. You're going to play much tougher competition than you did last season. So we've got a ton more to cover over the next few months, but I'm glad the 43 people who hung out with us to talk some hoops and cover some of these guys who returned. Look out for more. We're going to try to be a little more consistent. We've had some.
I'm moving to Africa in 3 weeks, so we'll see how that works.
I'm working 50 hours a week, so I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm 7 days a week also, basically.
Yeah. So we're going to try to put this together for you guys, keep the quality up, and we appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for watching the Draft Stack. Peace.